दोस्तों इस क्लास में आपको डिक्टेशन दूंगा उसी मैट्रिक की जो पिछली क्लास में मैंने आपको डिक्टेशन प्रोवाइड की थी 100 WPM पर। इस क्लास में इस डिक्टेशन की स्पीड होगी 110 WPM। सो आपको मैं डिक्टेशन प्रोवाइड कर रहा हूँ, बी रेडी फॉर इट। थैंक यू फॉर अलाउिंग मी टू डेलिबरेट ऑन द राइट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन to free and compulsory education bill 2009 today in this house. At the outset, I may say that child rights movement has gained a lot of momentum in the first decade of the 21st century in our country. Although it had little impact on the policy and legal reforms related to children, but certainly it made a visible impact regarding the awareness and dissemination of information about a child's right. One would agree that all this development would have showed the way further towards crucial policy and legal reforms in the case of the fundamental right to education of the child. All these significant developments have been shadowed of late by the central government by introducing the much criticized, diluted and distorted Right to Education Bill in its new form, namely the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Bill. This is nothing but a heinous crime against the population of Indian children. By any legislation, the definition clause assumes a lot of significance and provides clarity while implementing the law. It is unfortunate that the crucial definition necessary to ensure equitable quality education have been omitted. By dropping the phrase equitable quality, the government very clearly has indicated that it is not willing to provide equitable quality education to all children as a matter of principle and commitment as per the Constitution. This right of children to free and compulsory education bill has been hanging fire for several years. The Rajya Sabha has passed this bill, which promises free and compulsory education for children aged between 6 and 14 years. While at the time of framing of the Constitution, the founding fathers realized the significance of education, yet it could not be declared a fundamental right. The 86th Constitution Amendment Act 2002 requires the state to provide free and compulsory elementary education to all children. This bill seeks to give effect to this amendment. All children between the age of 6 and 14 years shall have the right to free and compulsory elementary education. No child shall be held back, expelled, or required to pass a board examination until the completion of elementary education. A child who completes elementary education shall be awarded a certificate. The 86th Constitution Amendment Act 2002 added Article 21A to the Constitution, which requires the state to provide free and compulsory education to all children from the age of 6 to 14 years. It also modified Article 45 Directive Principles to instruct the state to provide early childhood care and preschool education. This bill that is before us today seeks to give effect to the 86th Constitutional Amendment. It is supposed to detail the responsibilities of the central and state governments, teachers, parents, and community members in ensuring all children receive free and compulsory elementary education. So far, our country's track record on providing education to its poor masses has been extremely poor. While the dropout rate is rather high, the government schools which cater to the underprivileged lack quality both in terms of infrastructure and teaching. surveys have found that many primary schools do not have proper buildings and several operate from one room. In the given situation, where many schools lack basic facilities, ensuring a school in every child's neighborhood will be a tall order. For those households with income below the official poverty line, which account for 27.5% of the India's population, and those for whose day-to-day incomes barely cover living expenses, this bill is clearly silent on increasing the state outlay for government schooling. Instead, it shifts the responsibility of poor students to private schools by the 25% reservation clause, which have in the past raised objections to such a proposal. This bill also limits its ambit to children between ages of 6 and 14. Any parent or teacher will agree education up to class 8th is hardly enough to equip a child with the basic skills needed either for gainful employment, even to make an individual equipped to function with a basic degree of self-reliance and empowerment. To be fair, the bill is part of a movement that shows the government has at least begun to take primary education seriously. For instance, the bill allows the private schools to be reimbursed for serving 25% seats for disadvantaged children. The outlays for the program to universalize elementary education have increased since it began in 2001. But good intentions do not necessarily make for good results. The Planning Commission has worried in the 11th plan that while enrollment may be increasing, retention remains a major problem. So, while there is huge allocation this year for the scheme, the process of learning remains in bad shape. The government is more worried about schools, the input, than actual schooling, the output. Even if some public good and services are declared to be right by law, changing reality is altogether different. If the government thinks that just spending money will enable learning, then we have hardly reformed since 1991. Innumerable surveys show teacher remains absent from school with freedom, and many do not reach even while at school, and that children with several years of schooling cannot do simple sums or write simple paragraph. There is a need to ensure the right to minimum quality. Millions of slum dwellers send their children to unrecognized private schools. These are not of high quality, and parents deem them better than free government schools. No one who understands the idea of India can fail to be moved by the implications of the right of children to free and compulsory education bill for the future of India's children. This is an incomplete bill, and I am afraid may worsen the problems that exist without providing us with the solutions we need. With these words, Mr. Chairman, I conclude. दोस्तों इसी के साथ ये डिक्टेशन फिनिश होती है। उम्मीद करता हूँ आप लोगों ने बहुत अच्छे से लिखा होगा। आपसे मुलाकात करता हूँ अगली क्लास में अगली ट्रांसक्रिप्शन के साथ। तब तक के लिए बाय बाय, टेक केयर।